Merci beaucoup. I'd like to start with a few words in German. Guten Morgen. Entschuldigung, ich kann nicht Deutsch sprechen. That's about it. But thank you very much, dear Carsten, and thank you very much for the invitation. But first and foremost, thank you very much for this very inspiring speech. I'm afraid you're going to be bored now, because I'm going to say probably less well what Carsten has just been sharing with you over the last few minutes, which I believe is a very good sign of how France and Germany are seeing eye to eye on these subjects and how we together can bring Europe forward towards this, what I call a new technological revolution. Madame la Vice-Présidente, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing that this is a European project that we all building together. I'd like to say hello to all the ministers, regional, lender, and national that are present in the room, present from the member states as well, that are showing that the stars around that great logo that mixes blue, white, and red, dark, and yellow is actually a European project that works together. And maybe more importantly, I'd like to really thank all the representatives of corporations, universities, researchers that are present in the room, because as you said, Carsten, you guys are going to make it real. We're here to help you succeed. We're here to help you thrive, and we're going to make everything we can to make sure it happens. But at the end of the day, you guys are going to do the job. This meeting follows up a meeting that was shared by President Macron and Chancellor Merz in August in Toulon, where the Franco-German Council of Ministers decided to really deepen and speed our efforts on technological sovereignty. And I'm very glad that today we have this second stage that's going to bring us further and closer. Because we do believe that Europe is now at a crossroad. And this crossroad is probably somewhat existential. We are going through this fourth technological, this fourth industrial revolution over the course of the last 150 years. The first one we know was about coal and steam, and Europe was at the very heart of it. The second one relied on energy, and again, Europe was at the very heart of it. The third one was about the emergence of electronic and computer. Let's put it that way. Europe was a challenger of this third revolution. We are now in the midst of a fourth industrial revolution, and we clearly are not today in a leading position. We are a challenger, but we have to make sure, as you said, that we go ahead, that we go at the keyboard, and that we take the lead in this revolution. If you look at market capitalization, if you look at employment, if you look at earnings, the diagnosis of today is clear. The US are leading the charge, and China is not very far behind. But we have potential, and we have to make sure that even if we have lost a couple of battles, we can be part of the winning war. As you know, you've all read the Draghi report. If productivity in Europe had been the same as in the US, if the technology sector had been as successful as the American one, European productivity would have been comparable to that of the United States over the last 20 years. You know that there's a gap, and that gap needs to be filled. Yet, we are still in a position to be a leader. We have to build on our strength. We have to build on our strength in field, which we have quality players acting globally. I think most of them are present today. In artificial intelligence, Mistral AI and Aleph Alpha. In the cloud, OVH Cloud and Ionos. In quantum, Alice and Bob and Electron. The fight for this future, it truly is an existential one. You alluded to it, Carsten, but it's existential for our democratic values, the biggest heritage of Europe. We've been at peace for more than 80 years. This has to keep on going. It's about protecting our children. It's about protecting our citizens. It's about fighting against threats online. Some of you probably know that today the Danish are holding a municipal election. Maybe some of our Danish friends are in the room. Yesterday, a massive cyber attack stopped all the internet sites of the political parties in Denmark. This was an existential threat to a democratic process that's taking place today. We have to make sure we protect our citizens against those threats. We can protect, but protect should go hand in hand with prosper. We can protect and prosper, because at the end of the day, this fight is also existential for the future of our economy. We need to maintain fair competition. We need to maintain competition between companies, between states, between universities. Emulation is good for you. But sovereignty on technologies and data needs also to be there to protect our firms. This is the key fight for productivity that we're fighting together. So the question is, how do we do this? We know we do it differently. But how can we use Europe's particularities to achieve digital sovereignty to our strategic benefit? We need to do it differently, yes, but we need to do it efficiently. And as you say, Carsten, today is about taking concrete actions. We need to get on with it, we need to get to work, and make sure that you guys can prosper and protect. We have 5 priorities, and we'll have the time during the day to detail them, but I'd like to just go through them quickly with you. And those priorities that we've worked hard on, they're not coming from us, they're coming from you. These are messages you've been sending us over the last few weeks. The first priority is immensely important. It's just about getting euros to finance you guys. We need hundreds of billions of euros every year to make sure we keep up with the race that's going on. The bad news is that they're not available at the moment. We know that a lot of European savings tend to go to the US to finance your competitors and help them thrive there. The good news is that those billions of dollars, they're actually available. We are one of the biggest savers in the world. So we need to make sure that those euros stays euros and don't become dollars to get back to us with champions that are championing our competitiveness. So for this, I'm working on this with Lars Klingbeil and all our Euro ECOFIN finance ministers. We need to complete the Capital Markets Union. We need to scale up Europe funds. We need to make sure that the Europe Finance label allows us to have true European funds funding European companies. We need to create the 28th regime. That's going to allow us, you guys, to have one regime for all the 27 member states. And by the way, regarding the financial data access regulation, Europe cannot call for digital sovereignty in the cloud or AI while leaving the door open to big tech accessing the very core of our financial data. First, finance. The second priority, if I had to take a poll in the room today, maybe only half the room would raise their hands for, and maybe the other half would raise their hands against. But because I'm in the for camp, I'm still going to express it in front of you. We need a principle of European preference in public procurements and regulation. Carsten, you said it, we actually have 2 superpowers. We are the biggest consumer market in the world. We have 450 million people ready to consume our products, and we spend every year 2,200 billion euros in public procurements. Those 2 superpowers, like in Spider-Man, comes with 2 super responsibilities. We need to make sure that those consumers and those public procurement help us have champions, help us have startups that can grow, help us have partnership between our companies that they can be able to provide our administration with efficient service, our consumers and our citizens with efficient public service. We all know this. SpaceX is SpaceX thanks to public dollars that have been helping them thrive. We need those public euros to go to Mistral AI, to go to SAP, and to go to all these champions that can do it. Competitiveness is still key, but we can have a principle that can then be detailed to make sure that we keep that competition thriving, but that we have some of our champions helping us do a better service. Third priority is to protect our data by achieving cloud sovereignty, to stop allowing foreign players to requisition data thanks to extra EU laws. And for that, we need a shared definition of what defines a sovereign cloud, included in European cybersecurity certification scheme for cloud services. We've done that in France. It's called Secnum Cloud Label. And by the way, it doesn't prevent in any way foreign actors to enter the French market. We're having discussions with Google and Microsoft for them to be certified. The fourth is to make our regulatory framework more effective. I think Carsten has been clear on that. We need to act swiftly when the DSA or the DMA are being challenged. We need to make sure that we reassure our citizens that we're going to enforce the laws. The fifth one, and I'm going to end up with that one, is just to use or to keep in mind a famous African proverb that said, when you're alone, you go fast. When you're together, you go far. Europe has gone very far over the last 80 years. But it's sometimes been a bit slow in going fast. So I think we can keep on going far, but do it much faster. The first time the euro was envisaged by our peers was in the 60s. The euro was introduced in 2002, 42 years, for a fantastic idea that's gone further than anyone has gone further in economic integration in the course of history. But God, 62 years. This time, we need to go far. We need to, as we did the European Steel community in the 50s, keep on a new community, build this new community that's going to build on AI, on our sovereignty, on our technologies, to make sure that we win that battle. But let's not take 62 years to build it. Let's build it in the next 62 days, 62 weeks. Let's make it fast. Let's go far together. Thank you very much. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'm sure we can do it. Thank you.